I'm here to show you how to roll a permanent wave. So, what I'm going to be using today, because her hair's a little, pull the hair up out of the way so that you aren't fighting with the hair while you're racking your client. Makes it a lot faster and easier. I'm using a chemical cape, so it's waterproof so that I do not soil the client's clothing. Alright, so a really great thing about these rods is that you're able to use them for your guide. So when you are measuring out your mannequin's head, you don't want the section to be wider than the rod. So what I'm going to do is make these sections, the subsections, just slightly more narrow than the rod so that I don't have the hair falling out over the sides of the rod when I try to roll it. Okay. Not a metal tail comb, a foiling comb, because you really don't need to use metal when you're using these chemicals and stuff like that. So it's just better to use a rat tail comb. So I'm starting just inside there. And having the hair nice and saturated really helps to allow for you to separate during your parting. If not, the hair is not going to cooperate very easily. Okay, so now I see here. You can see it's kind of right about where the arch is. Excuse my nails. We are in the middle of a pandemic here, and it's been about a week since I polished my nails because I've been doing other things. It's time to just take it off and regroup, I feel like. Okay, so now that I've got my middle section here, I'm just going to test it all the way to the back to ensure that I'm still not as wide as my perm rod. Okay, so now here's another thing. When you're working with your mannequin on the side, there's some slight curvature in the head. So if you go straight line, it's going to be more narrow right in here. So you can actually follow the hairline. So I'm going to start up here with the tail. And I am following down so that it kind of keeps a large enough section that I'm getting enough on those sides there to roll up in permanent wave. So that's our first full section right there. All right. So now I have my top three sections. What I've done is just taken this line here, and gathered it together. So now I can straighten my lines up if I need to. Nice and snug. All right. We're going to push your head down. I don't want to put my body in any discomfort or as little discomfort as possible. So use the mannequin stand to your ability. Push that head, lower it, raise it, whatever you need to do. But try not to get to the parts yourself. Bring the parts to you. All right, so now I'm starting in the back, behind the ear. And we're just going to carry this all the way over. So what I'm doing is taking this section to the top of the ear. Excuse me. To the top of the ear all the way around. And I'm going to use my rod here to make sure that my subsection matches up. You notice I'm trying to keep my comb and this roller in my hand at all times. It's to save time and prevent you from having to bend over a lot and put extra stress on the body, especially in State Board. They watch you. You put that comb down, they saw it. Oh, they saw it. Okay, so now I'm just going to follow this line down into the bottom 3 sections. Okay. On the hair. Okay, so you're going to see me doing 90-degree angles. You guys have already done haircuts, so you know what 90 degrees is. 90 degrees is straight off the head. No matter what part of the head is facing, what part of the head you're working on is going to be 90 degrees. So, if I take this comb, good catch. If I take this comb and place it flat on her head, that is 90 degrees. 90 degrees. 90 degrees. We'll turn it real quick. 90 degrees. 90 degrees. So, whatever 90 degrees is straight off the top of that head, that's a 90-degree angle. An L, if you will. Base of the head, this is the hair coming off the head, and when you roll it, it's going to wind up laying half off base. So it's kind of not going to lay perfectly on top of it, and if that's what you're experiencing, that's fine. That is what it's supposed to be doing for the rod. Now I'm going to tell you, my experience with doing permanent waves back in school is I wanted every strand to get rolled up in that head. The little sprigglies that you're going to have come out as you're rolling down. Don't stress yourself out about those. If you can get them to go in there, fine. But don't spend 2 hours trying to roll your mannequin's head, especially the first time. Do what you can to get those rods in there. And just remember you're doing half off base. And you want to make sure that there's not too much tension on your rods when you're doing it. So here's our end wraps. I did not get the whole book out, just a nice little pinch. And I'm going to take it flat in my hand. I'm going to take my comb like this. And right there where the center of my palm is, I'm going to press and twist. And what it does is it separates your little end papers so that you can grab them a little bit easier. Okay, so now when you're rolling your permanent wave, you want to make sure also that you're not doing thicker subsection than the rod. So see how that hair is sticking out in the front? This section will be too wide. So I want to make sure that I bring that all the way to the front, and that base of that rod, see how the front comes out a little bit? You want to make sure that you get on there. You don't want it overlapping. But the base of the rod, where it stops touching the head, is where I want to get that subsection from. If you do it, the subsection's too short, too small, you're going to wind up overlapping your rods bad. So your rods are your best tool that you can use. So see, I'm holding the rod in my non-dominant hand, and I'm making sure. If you're not sure, look, you can put your comb on the head, and it will show you what direction. I'm going to turn this. And it'll show you what direction is 90 degrees if you're not sure. 90 degrees right there, all right? So now I'm going to take one end wrap. My poor nails look terrible. And then the second end wrap. And I always had trouble kind of controlling. So what I like to do is hold the hair in between my two fingers, and then I take my ring finger and hold it in between my ring finger and middle finger, and then my thumb and forefinger. And then I can take it and press it together and slide to where the end paper comes out past the ends of the hair strand. And then I'm just going to slightly dampen my end wraps, okay? So now that I've done that, I'm taking these papers, sliding it out. You want to make sure that your hair goes all the way out. You don't want it bent under. Do not apply too much tension. You see how she's bouncing? That's too much tension. You just want to give it enough tension that it rolls itself. The hair's going to roll itself up, basically. Okay? So, you want to make sure that your rubber band is on top. And see how that's coming loose right there? That's because it's not giving full tension. But when you've got it like that, so when you get done rolling your mannequin, all the rods really should wind up sitting pretty nicely like this. You don't want them bunched up like that, okay? Because that means you're not getting all the way down. Okay?